This is an overview of Nextrasoft Workforce Management for golf clubs. Nextrasoft is a SaaS and cloud-based platform. We support both Microsoft single sign-on and standard username and password logins. This is the admin dashboard, and this is where you'll carry out most of the tasks. Some are daily tasks and some you just do once and sort of set it and forget it. In the admin section is where we have our HR piece. Nextrasoft isn't just a standalone HR system. It goes from HR to rostering, scheduling, with a payroll export and everything in between. We need your people in the system for it to function. So this is the HR piece. Here we can email staff, SMS them from here. We can also send out push notifications to your entire team. If you've got company announcements, you can do that from here. That's all fairly simple. If we need to update some staff or add some staff, we can do that from here. It's a record card driven, so we can keep personal details, payroll information, contract information, locations that your team are able to work within your organization. We have a section where we can list skills. These can be formal or informal, things like health and safety, first aid certificates, but we can also give staff skills around things that functions that you'd like them to do within your organization, and we can use that quite powerfully when we come to do rostering. We have a document uploader, so you can upload rights to work, any forms that your team might have signed in the past, and we can do electronic signatures within Nextra. But if you've got older certificates and documentation you need to do, we can do that as an uploader from there. So as well as the staff record cards, we've got a skills section. We can use these to identify when staff maybe need to redo a certificate of some sort, whether it's a greenkeeper's spraying certificate, or you have staff that need to do health and safety certificates, first aid things. We can keep all that information in here, and we can set an expiry date, and obviously it'll give both you as a manager a reminder that they need to do that, but it'll also give the member of staff a reminder that they've got a certificate coming up for expiry. We can also use skills to plan out our rotas should you wish, and I'll go through that on the rotoring screen and how that works. But once we've got skills, we can actually create groups of skill sets. So you could say potentially to be a head greenkeeper, you need a number of given skills within your organisation, and the same thing with like team leaders. We can add team leaders, supervisors to the system, and again, when you're rotoring people, we can make sure that you've maybe always got a team leader on. Certainly for when you're doing corporate events, you may want a supervisor on with a number of other staff, and we can make people supervisors within the system, and when we come to rota them, the system will go and find those people. After skill sets, we've got holiday groups. These can be used to set up different teams. You might have people working in offices that have a given number of days holiday they're allowed, or you might say 1 in 3 can have time off, where your greenkeepers might maybe 2 in 5 or something like that. So we can set all of those sorts of things up in the system, and then when they come to book absence, they'll get a message to say that yes, they can have their holiday, or no, it might need an approval based on the holiday group they're in. After holiday groups, we can look at some location admin, and we can obviously have a head office within your organisation, but then we can have sub locations. So this might be your food and beverage team, maybe golf services, greenkeepers. These are handy for when we come to build rotas, that you can then, your manager can then go away and see their own roster. So the greenkeepers can just see the greenkeepers, and your food and beverage manager can just see his team. You as an admin can see the top level of your organisation, so you could then go away and see all of your team and how they've been rostered. So that's a real useful function. After the location management, we've got some rota admin screens that we can look at. Here we can set up shifts. Again, you might have certain shifts for greenkeepers from early in the morning to midday that you might want to use. Same for the food and beverage or your catering staff. We can create different shift lengths. These are all fairly easy to set up and very self-explanatory. You can give it a category, you can give it a location of where they want to work, start and end times, duration, and all the other things that we'll need to do when we're scheduling, and also when we're going to do the timesheets. So if we now go back to our home page and our landing page, and look in the management section, we can start to see some of the other functions that we might want to do on a daily basis. If I take a look at the rota first and load that up, we can look at the example that we had earlier on of the chefs, and how their rota was going to work out. So let's just wait for that to load. So here's the 2 chefs that were actually on the pattern, and we can see that we've applied that for a number of weeks right through. So that's very easy for us to do, and that's just a single click. If we want to then go and backfill some of these shifts with some of the other team members to cover some of the days off, it's just a case of going to the shifts. I've got a shift time called chef's fill. and we can go through and just say it's a mandated shift. They're going to work as a chef, and we're going to pop in some shifts here, here and here, and then we're going to add the shifts over here, and that will just pop those on. Once we've added it and finished and we're happy with our planner or our rota, we can publish this, and then that'll send that out to our team via an SMS, and they can log in onto their mobile app that we've got, and they'll see their shift and any updates that they've got. If we need to make some changes to the rota, it is all drag and drop, so we can pick things up and move shifts from one place to another. We can also go in and book holiday for people directly on the rota. We can also access their HR record. So if I wanted to pop an absence on here for Fred Dale, maybe he's sick or it's just a holiday request that he's had, they can obviously book their holidays directly from the app, as I said earlier. But let's just pop a holiday in here for him, and we'll go book absence, and you should see that appear up here on the roster in just in a second once we book that absence. There we go. Again, that'll appear in their self-service app, so they can keep track of when they've booked holiday. So using the user types within the system, you can just assign one of your chefs or anybody that's in charge of food and beverage to only view this rota, because we are literally just looking at the catering rota. If I wanted to go to our top level and view the entire organisation, we can do that. And see all of the other departments all in one go. So here's all of the rest of the teams and all of the combined shifts that they've got on at the moment. So it's really quick and easy to use, and again we've got a complete overview for the whole team that we've got within this system. Going back to our management tasks and some of the other things that might be of interest, and we've got some absence requests as a manager that we can go and approve. We've got some team here that have said, can we have such and such day off, and you can go in and approve those. And again, this is a system-wide setting, so you can have it auto-approve, but most people do prefer to run it past a manager. If we've got any overlaps, they'll show here as a red warning symbol, and again it's obviously giving you just the totals of the number of days that they've got left available within the system. So after the absence request, the other interesting place to look is at the clocking screen. This will give us an accurate interpretation of day-to-day people arriving for work and also leaving for work. You don't have to have your staff clocking in and clocking out. We can clock in via any clocking device which we can provide to you. You can have RFID, you can have facial, you can have fingerprint, or you can just have a simple tablet on a bar somewhere that they can clock in and out with a PIN number. Most commonly at the moment, most people are using our mobile app to clock in and out. This can be using geolocation if you want to, or we can just set it up so that they're just clocking in for work. Once they've clocked in and clocked out, you can view here again by department, which we've obviously covered on the rota, but that just mirrors that across. It'll also show us any deductions or enhancements that we might have set up in the system. And so if you've got people doing overtime, maybe they're late for work and you're going to deduct some pay, again, the system-wide settings that you don't have to have that. You can have it automatically approve and just say, well, I've acknowledged that. I'll maybe keep an eye on it for a bit longer, and then maybe there'll be a warning come if they're continually late. So that's where we can see all of that information, and then once these are all approved, that then goes through to the timesheets, which we'll cover in a minute. So back in the management screen, and again this is where most of the daily tasks are going to be carried out. Probably the last one I'm going to cover on this short overview is the payroll section. So if we choose the top level of our organisation and whatever our payroll week might be, and we've got one here that I've already submitted, so if we just schedule the timesheet and go and have a look at that in here. Let's put in the correct date, so let's pick a date earlier on just to show us all of the timesheets that we've got. So I've got a couple here that have been submitted, so this is what a typical timesheet would look like. So we've got obviously the payroll ID, member of staff's name, whether they're contracted to fixed hours, or we've got a gentleman down here who's on 0 hours, the number of hours they worked that week, any overtime that they've done, the holiday pay that they're entitled from that, and the totals, and then certainly for things like 0 hours, their accrual based on the number of hours they've worked. So this is ready to go straight out to Excel export, and you can obviously send that to your accountant, or if you've got your own in-house payroll system, we can align the element codes and you can upload that into your payroll system.